If you're watching this video, you are probably one of the coaches who struggles with visibility, and you may have a lot of knowledge under the hood. You may have had a number of business coaches that helped you create Instagram content, that helped you create a YouTube channel, that helped you create beautiful newsletters. And for some reason, even though you've accumulated all the knowledge, it doesn't work. In this video, I'm going to share with you why that is and what you can do about it. So if you don't know me, my name is Philip. I have been a coach for many, many years, and the visibility issue has been one of my biggest blocks ever. And I have spent tens of thousands of Swiss francs to overcome this because I felt that maybe I need a different approach, maybe I need a different strategy. And that was never really the case. The case was something completely different. And when I found it out, it literally changed my life overnight. Before I'm showing you what I did and how I did it, I want to tap into how we create reality as humans. And why is that even relevant? It's relevant because coaching and visibility and interacting with the outside world is really something that is shaped by patterns that we keep on repeat. So it is a part of the reality that we create because we create reality from the inside out. But let's start from the beginning. How does that even work? Quantum physics says there is no objective reality, which means that we are the creators. We create our reality every second of our existence. And what that means is we need to look at what is happening inside of us when we do that. And there's an interesting theory that says it's actually all about relationships, because when we create reality, what we're really doing is creating a relationship between the inside and the outside. And in order to do that, we use the programming, we use the subconscious idea of relationships that has been built over our lifetime, and obviously, especially during our childhood. So, in short, you are reproducing the relationship patterns that were told to you in your childhood phase. So, which means like roughly from age 0 to 8. That is exactly what you're seeing in any aspect of your life. So chances are that if you're trying to be a coach, and if you're trying to get out of the 9-to-5 struggle, which you don't like, you want to be somewhere else, you want to be with other people, you want to do what your heart really calls you for. If you're in that area and you're not getting there, this is very likely a reflection of how other areas in your life are going, because you're using that relationship pattern that you learned as a kid. You're not just using it in business, you're using it in all aspects of your life. So what we're really talking about here is relationships and how they shape your life. Now, the most important relationships obviously are with your mom and your dad. As a child, you're completely exposed to them. Yes, they take care of you. They give you everything you need to grow. They nurture you. They buy you food. They give you shelter. But there's a dimension that needs to be taken care of, which is roughly, let's say, the psychological warmth, the love, the closeness, the relationship dimension. And children have needs. Children want a certain proximity to people. Why? Because not being close to these people in the nervous system, especially of young children, means that they're going to die. So they need to find ways to deal with that fear. And first of all, they're acting it out, right? They scream, they want to make sure that mommy is around, that they're not being left alone. So they're taking all sorts of measures. And there are moments when the nervous system, when the kid realizes that doesn't work. And when that kicks in, something shifts, right? And that is called a relational trauma. Because a relational trauma is opposed to a shock trauma because it occurs over a longer period of time. So what that means in short is everybody goes through these moments where the relationship with the parents is less than optimal. And as a result, we end up, twisting our own energy flow and our idea of ourselves. Because as kids, if we realize that sometimes our parents are not there, we're really at risk. That is super hard. That's almost impossible to take for such an infantile nervous system. It might die from the realization, just from the shock of it. So in order to stay alive and to thrive, kids, a lot of kids, actually all of them almost, need to change the way they see relationships. And that new pattern, that sort of strategy, that twisted strategy, will then shape their adult life. And what could it be? Let's go back to visibility. Visibility means I am stepping out, I'm showing up, I'm drawing attention to myself. Now, if you've grown up in an environment where, let's say, your mom and your dad were overwhelmed with you drawing attention and wanting their focus, well, then you may learn not to act that out. And as a result, later in life, when this idea comes up, it's like, I want to be visible, the program just is not there. Or worse, there's something inside of you that says, being visible is actually dangerous. It will put our lives in danger. Or the story might be different, like if you say visibility means I do my thing, then that could mean I don't have energy to make sure that mom or dad is doing well, right? Because you're focusing your energy on yourself. You're creating something in your life. And when you see that being frustrated all the time in your life, when you're a stop and go type of person, or when you enter a relationship with somebody just to find out a couple of weeks later it's going nowhere, and that is just on repeat, then this might actually be a pattern that you find in your childhood. And these were just two examples of why visibility is dangerous for your nervous system, and therefore needs to be avoided at all cost. That means that if you you may work 80%, you may work 4 days a week for an employer, and then you have like 1 day off to take care of your own business, and you really want to do things there, but it doesn't happen somehow. It feels like you're completely stuck, and it's super frustrating. So if that happens, the chances are that being seen and being successful is connoted in your system with danger, with fear. And this is exactly the point where a lot of coaches, especially business coaches, don't help. They just give you a lot of strategies, which are beautiful. If you have the energy flow to execute them, they're absolutely amazing. But some people just don't have that flow. They don't have it. And you could go there and say, hey, you need to do this. You just have to do it. Yes, that's a strategy. You can do that. If you just say, okay, I'm pushing through. I keep going, right? That's fine. You can do that. It's a strategy. But for a lot of people, that doesn't work. And these people need care for their inner child that is still screaming for the help or for the attention that it didn't get when it was really the child. So let's move to the next point. Let's move to the point, what can we do about it? How can we tell this inner child that everything is fine and we're safe and there's nothing speaking against showing ourselves in the full power that we really are? Here's what, there are multiple approaches, but I want to share with you some, first I want to share with you some ideas, and then I'm going to tap into how it is done. So think of this blockage that you're experiencing. Think of it as literally an expression that was not fulfilled. There's a stuck expression where that wanted to come from the inside to the outside world, and it couldn't. And so the true nature of the human of that child was sort of capped. And now that the energy is still there, the energy exists, it's life energy, but it's going the wrong way. And what we need to do is to make that energy move again. And we need to find ways to impact the nervous system in order to do so, because this is a matter of the nervous system. And one way that is very promising is actually talking. And it needs to be something that is not tied to anything. So you can't have an agenda and you can't have an influence by another person. Yet there needs to be somebody to hear you, because that's just how communication works. Communication is always between at least two people. So what you need is somebody who listens to you while you actually stay in the present mode. Because if you go into the story or if you go into concepts, then you're in the mind, and you're not really allowing the energy that is stored in the body to come up and flow. There's a guy, his name is Gopal Norbert Klein, and he wrote a book which is called Der Vagusschlüssel. It's German, the key for the vagus nerve. And it's about the vagus nerve, and I think the vagus nerve has become increasingly popular. People are actually looking for ways to calm down the vagus nerve. But the thing is, these methods usually they give some relief for a short period of time, but then if you haven't resolved your trauma, you're just going back to the old energy state. So what you need to find is a way to regulate your vagus nerve, aka your energetic state, in a lasting, in a sustainable way. And what works is really to speak about the things that are inside of you. Gopal calls it honest sharing, and I'm leaving a PDF with instruction for honest sharing down here. I believe it's one of the most important things you can do for yourself, and it's also one of the most important things as a humanity, what we can do, because we need to learn how to express ourselves with no agenda, just from our hearts and tapping into what is right here, right now. That is the key to opening up and to letting the energy flow. Now, there are groups. You can probably find honest sharing groups in your vicinity. I offer one which usually is on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. It's online. It's very limited seats. We have 5 seats. But if you're interested, drop me a comment under this video, and I'll reach out to you, and you can be a part of it if we have space. The business problems that you're facing are not representative of a lack of knowledge or techniques or strategies. That's not the point. They're actually very easy to come by. What really, really, really matters is how you feel about these things inside of you. And so many people don't feel well. So many people struggle with the idea of actually showing up and offering what they have to the world. And these are internal processes that need to be tackled very carefully so that energy can flow inside of you. Now, obviously, if you're interested in that type of a session, I'm also dropping a link underneath this video. If you want, you can book a session with me. I'm looking forward to helping you. All right. See you.